So focus on 1 to probably 3 things on your today's closed list. Don't put on more than 3 things, and make sure you get them done in a given day and stick to it. And then you can put another thing from your open to-do list to that closed list on the following day.
Hi and welcome to Leadwell.
Hi, hello to Leadwell. Now, how has your day been so far? What is it that you've already got done? You know, we are still in this topic of time management. And today, what I wanted to share with you is prioritization. So that's this aspect of time management of, if my plate is too full, how can I get rid of things? Because as we've seen before, I think all of us these days, we have too much to do because there is too much to do at work. And also there are so many interesting things to do that we want to do. And it's really hard to decide. And that's what we want to talk about today. So what is it about this prioritization? How can I do that? How can I make the best choice? I think in my first episode about time management, I talked about a buffet where I also have to prioritize because unfortunately I cannot eat everything that's on there. I cannot possibly have a taste of everything presented. So I need to have a close look at what do I want to eat, what is good for me, and where can I treat myself with a little something. So this is very similar in my eyes to how to prioritize my work day and also my time at work, but also my leisure time, my free time, because I want to make sure to make the best out of it. I want to have a good life. I want to live a really full life and experience a lot of things and spend time with a lot of people. So how can I do that so that everything is taken care of? I believe the very first step that I need to do when looking into prioritization is understanding what is important to me. Because how could I prioritize? How could I make a decision if I was not even aware of what is important? So is it my family? Are it your kids? Maybe like me, your animals. My horse has a very high priority. So it's very important to me. And I need to understand that. I need to first literally think about what is it that is most important to me, so that if I have a choice to make, if I have a decision to make, I have a compass that is telling me, well, Christine, okay, now you have to decide between a day with your friends or a day with your husband. You have found out before that spending time with your husband has a really high priority at this point because in my case, at his age, I need to spend as much time with him now as I can. So because I know that, this decision will be easier for me. So I make it easier for myself to prioritize. And there is an easy way to really figure out what is important to you. There are lots of lists, and I will link one of the lists that I find really helpful. It's from Angelica Gulda, the person that I got my first coach education from. And she has designed this list, and it's really easy to say, okay, let's put this versus that. What's more important to me? And it's also great fun to do that together. And it's also really helpful to do that with a coach so that you can figure out, well, actually, these 7 things or these 3 things are the most important values in my life. Because if you have them, again, this will be your compass, your North Star. You will always be able to compare it to that and say, okay, this compared to my list of values and that compared to my list of values, how does that relate? And of course, the values can change and they can be slightly different from my work life to my private life, but still it's always good to have a good understanding of what is important to you. Now, then the next step is to look at all the different things that are out there. And the one great thing that I learned from the Agile approach, that's called Scrum. So that's a methodology from Agile development, which means instead of trying to figure out everything, every little detail about a new product, let's just start with what's most important and then let's iterate and let's improve it over time. And in that methodology, there is one thing that makes it easy to decide the size of things to do, the size of projects in that perspective. And that is really helpful for anything that you want to prioritize as well. Be it at work or at home, it's exactly the same, because sometimes it's really hard to understand how much time will we need for a specific task. And research says that we underestimate the time by 100%. Overall, that's human. So if you think you'll need 2 weeks, then you probably will need 4. If you think you need 2 hours, you probably will need 4. And a good thing to actually avoid this misallocation or this misthinking is, of course, to get practice and to say, okay, let me see, how much do I think I will need? And then in retrospective, look at it and say, okay, that's actually the time it took. Because then you will learn from it and then you can get better and better at it. But the first step already is not to try to figure it out in minutes, but figure it out in sizes, and in sizes that are really different from each other. So in the Scrum methodology, they use the Fibonacci numbers, and Fibonacci numbers is, it's always one number plus the next. So you start with 0 and 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. And you see that 1, 2, 3, 5, 8 is already a huge difference. And then it goes. So because 5 and 8 then is 13. And so the difference gets bigger and bigger. And it's hard, again, to do it with the numbers. You've heard me stumble on it. But you can also do that with maybe animals or vehicles. You could say, okay, let's take the animals. This project is as big as a mouse. And the next one is as big as a cat. And then it's as big as a large dog. And then as big as a horse, as big as an elephant, as big as a mammoth. And that makes it easier for you to actually decide what will the size be of, what is the size of this current thing, this current project that you want to engage in. So this is helpful to actually determine how much time do I want to allocate to it. Think about the size. And then think about the importance, how important it is. And we said, okay, this is my values. So how does it relate to my values? And the third thing is, how urgent is it? Do I need to do it now? Do I need to do it in a week's time? Do I need to do it in a month? And again, we humans, we tend to procrastinate. We tend to not allocate time to things that are due in a longer time period. However, again, if you think about it from an importance and urgency perspective, the most important things usually are not urgent, but those are the ones that will make you more successful. So if you tackle the things that are not urgent, but important, you will probably be much more successful and even much more productive on a long run, because otherwise you end up always firefighting, because the urgent things, even if they're important, usually are firefighting. And usually you put in more energy because you need to actually catch up with something that you had not done before. There is a wonderful, wonderful TED Talk from Tim Urban about the inner mind of a procrastinator. I think it's called Inside the Head of a Procrastinator. And I will share the link with you, because that is a video that I have shared with every single class that I had at the business school. And it was so funny because before I did that, I usually would get assignments back. Well, if they were due at midnight on a given day, I would get them back at midnight or a minute before midnight on that day. And as soon as I started sending out that video, it was so interesting to see that actually I had no assignment coming back that late. Everything got in earlier. So I will share that with you. It's Tim Urban talk about what's happening in the head of a procrastinator. And it's pretty funny, I think. Actually, I'm watching it now and then to make sure that I don't fall back into that trap either. So what's important, what is urgent, and what is the investment, the time investment, could also be monetary investment that I put in. And you could put that in a chart. You could say, okay, I have the importance, I have the urgency, and then the investment, I put that in as the size of my bubbles. And so you could have a visual representation of all the things you want to work on, all the things that are on your plate. And then you could start thinking about, okay, what is it that I need to be doing now? And then, as we heard last time, focus, 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 so that you get the stuff done in the given time frame. And learn from it. So looking back, what is it that has worked? What is it that didn't? How much time have I allocated? How much time did I actually need? And if you're doing that on a regular, ongoing basis, then I'm sure your prioritization will become much better, and you will spend more time on the actual important things that are not yet so urgent, but will get you further. Now, one last idea about having or taking things off your plate. I know we all talk about the to-do list. So usually everyone has a to-do list. And a great idea about the to-do list, by the way, is to have an open to-do list. So this is everything I need to get done. And then every single day I have a closed list. And I usually only put one item on that list. And I need to get that done in that day. And I will not leave my desk before that is not done. So this is my way of dealing with to-do lists, because otherwise, usually to-do lists are the one thing that probably no one is taken really seriously, if we are honest. So focus on 1 to probably 3 things on your today's closed list. Don't put on more than 3 things, and make sure you get them done in a given day and stick to it. And then you can put another thing from your open to-do list to that closed list on the following day. And in addition to have a to-do list, also have a not-do list. So make sure you put on things like, I don't know, if you want to not spend 2 hours a day on social media, put it on there. Make sure you also have things that you do not want to do. Can be anything related to work, can be anything related to media consumption, can be anything in relation to relationships. So make sure that you are also conscious about what you do not want to do and stick to that, so that you avoid falling into the trap of these time-consuming habits that we all have at a certain point and that we all can get rid of. So this was it for today. We talked about prioritization. I hope there is at least one thing that you can take away from today. If so, please let me know in the notes and comments, and give me a thumbs up if you like this. And let's do another little exercise today. So let me think about focus. Okay, so what you can do now is focus on the most narrow thing that I can think of, which is a spot. Now focus on a spot. And of course, you continue breathing, but your eyes are focused on that spot. And observe what's happening. Is it easy? Is it difficult for you to do? How does it feel if you focus on that spot? And if you feel that your eyes want to move away from the spot, just slightly bring them back. It's not something that we want to force us to do, but it's something we want to enjoy doing. And if looking at the spot is too boring for you, start drawing small circles with your eyes, really small circles, and see the effect that that has. So I can't speak anymore if I'm doing that, so I'll stop for now. I hope you have a wonderful day, and may you always lead well, yourself and others. Thank you.
This was Leadwell. Now, what is the one thing that you're taking away from this episode? Please share in the comments below, and do share the podcast with your friends and family, but only if you like it.